Senator Johnson, for what purpose?
A couple of questions about this bill for the author.
Senator Middleton, do you yield?
I do.
Senator Middleton, to kind of launch us into a conversation that it appears you haven't been willing to go into before. You're mentioning safety, and everybody wants safety. But I have my staff look up the history of assaults by men against women in women's restrooms, and the data we had was back to 2013. We found 5 convictions. Are you aware of any other statistics that would suggest that there are a lot of, and by the way, they're convicted before your bill. It's already illegal to assault anybody, anywhere. So do you have other data that would compel us to go down this path of this really fraught bill?
Sure, let's talk about the history.
No, I'm not talking about history. I'm talking about data. Do you have any evidence that men are committing crimes in women's restrooms?
That is the data.
History is the data?
That is the genesis of it, because
that's a genesis. It's not data. I mean, you can keep saying it, but it's not true. Data is numbers.
It is, and we know it's fundamentally not right to have a man go into a woman's restroom.
That's not my question. You've said it a bunch of times. My question is, do you have any data? I'm not arguing whether it's right. In fact, I don't think anybody thinks it's right for dudes to walk into the women's restroom all the time. I think you could throw them out of this building right now without this bill if they do that. So, and you said earlier that there are a bunch of districts that have exactly this policy, and the earth hasn't collapsed. Has the earth collapsed in the absence of this bill?
Senator, this has continued to get worse. As I stated earlier, we had an order from the Federal Department of Education that would which has been overturned, thank goodness, And we have seen this in other states as well. We had actually an example of 400 requests for transfer from the men's prison unit to the women's. So the family violence shelters are in here. When is it okay to have a man go into a woman's family violence shelter?
Actually, I'm the one answering the questions. That's how this works. I was educated earlier about how this works. I'm the one asking the questions. You're the one answering the questions. It's like a deposition, kind of. And I'm not in favor of that stuff either.
Senator, if you will, Senator Middleton has the floor, and please allow him to
ask me questions.
He's allowed to respond, Senator.
Yes. Okay, but does he ask me questions and then I answer his questions? I'm just trying to learn the procedure. I've only been here 4 sessions.
Senator Middleton has the floor, and he's allowed to answer the questions if you please.
I'd be happy I would be delighted if he would answer questions.
Senator Middleton, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, members. Was there a question?
Oh, I'd be happy to ask another one. You mentioned 10 states have passed similar laws. Are you aware of arrest numbers pursuant to those, or fines issued? I know this is not about arrests, it's about proceedings against municipalities. Do we have any information about who's flaunting the law?
Every state has a different procedure in how they've implemented this. Ours is civil, of course.
Yeah.
Some have decided to go a different route, which is not the route in this bill.
Okay. Do we have any estimates as to how many women have been protected by these bills in 10 other states?
Common sense is something that we should all support, Senator. Is it common sense to say that a man should go into a woman's family violence shelter? I mean, these are the things that it does. Or a private sleeping area. A man should be able to go into that, like a dormitory.
Why are we talking about that?
Because it's in the bill.
There's a lot of stuff in the bill. I'm asking if there's any evidence, not about what should and what our norms and our morals are, but I'm asking, is there any evidence that there is a threat, a safety threat, safety that we all really, really support, that is addressed by the bill?
It's happened in this building, actually.
Assaults in the bathroom?
Men going into women's restrooms.
Have there been any assaults of men?
I have heard from people that were involved in that were fearful because of it.
I'm sorry.
Is that okay?
I didn't hear you.
That were fearful of that.
That were fearful. Okay.
Yeah.
I do understand that. You're talking about people being uncomfortable, and I understand that. I really do. So let's talk about something uncomfortable. Let's talk about trans. If somebody undergoes surgical procedures to change their genitalia, their anatomy, at least visibly for all outward purposes, from male to female, Your bill would require them, a woman who surgically resembles a man, or a man who surgically resembles a woman, they would have to use the bathroom that matches the gender to which they were assigned at birth, but not the gender to which, for all outward appearances, they are today. Is that okay?
They have to use their birth sex.
So what problem have we solved here? You just said it makes people fearful and uncomfortable. I think that would make people fearful and uncomfortable. Do you?
At or near the time of birth, just like we passed in the Save Women's Sports Act, just like Senate Bill 406 the other day.
Thank you for
Governor
answering a
Abbott's
few
order.
of my questions.